Hi, everyone. It's me, Dr. Goins, and I just want to introduce myself. It's been a while since I've been on this channel, and I'm really happy to be here. So, I've come in this channel because I had published a book years ago, When Relationships Matter, Social Emotional Approach to Teaching and Learning. I followed that practice to a T and got my doctorate degree in May 2024. And published research on the approach and how it affects teachers' self-efficacy and job satisfaction for teachers K through 3. And then as a mom, I used it to open a micro school. So I got an opportunity with KaiPod Learning in February 2024 and had 6 months to open what was called a micro school. Well, this video is a story about what microschooling is, because I still encounter so many people in the community, or even when my families, or even my personal family for my sisters and brothers will share the work that I do. Nobody knows what a microschooling is. And it's basically a small school option. It can be in the category of homeschooling, which is, for me, that's mine. I'm a homeschool tutoring and enrichment program, or you could be a very small private school. It doesn't matter, but you're a micro school. So for me, I think it's such a compliment for families to call us a school, but we are traditionally non-traditional at all. We are not a school. And so my job is to partner with my families who are all homeschooled. So everyone, before they come to me, make the decision, they want more of a homeschooling experience, meaning that the home has not lost its influence in terms of their children's schooling. And so I partner with them for academic tutoring and enrichment. And so there's kind of a mindset shift you have to have when you're homeschooling, that you just don't want the system to raise your kids. And there are things like family values that are important to you. Perhaps you want to own back your family time. Perhaps it is that you want to spend time with your kids and not have them grow up outside of the house so much that, you never got to see them or be with them in the first place. And so I grew up with my parents working all the things. They were, in the 1960s, like doing all the things, and we're Filipino and my parents were immigrants. And so I know they had to do some really soul searching and go through hard times to work and put their head down to work to give us opportunities. But now my kids are living in an age where opportunities all around them. They're actually more entitled to things. They have resources just a click away on the access of a phone. I have kids that, I've taught kids who have phones while they're toddlers. So, I mean, they are given lots of opportunity, but perhaps they don't have any work ethic. Perhaps they aren't giving into any hopes or dreams, and they're just not getting that education is learning. And so for me, my micro school journey comes from, obviously, I'm a passionate educator. For those who've been in the channel for a while, I am the resilient teacher mom. I'll do anything and everything that serves my family and my profession at the same time. And it's molded me, motherhood has molded me to be a pretty resilient mom and navigate the research about what's best for teaching and learning, which has led me to relationships. And so I believe relationships are at the heart of a very successful and joyful life, whether you're in the classroom or out. And so my kids grow up with that because we micro school during the school year and we take a month off. We do summer camps. But then when we come home, we are on sports teams and we do ministry. And so the relationship aspect is kind of our way of life. And so my school is relationship based. It's based off my research. It's based off my methods. In this partnership approach, which I believe partnership comes from being prepped and ready, having attitude awareness, respectful and responsible, and teamwork. And it is pretty much in the flow of everything that we do. Microschooling means that I have students. Microschooling means that I work with parents. They're just homeschool parents. Microschooling means that I design an educational option within the homeschooling realm under an exception. So I am not licensed under the Virginia Department of Education. It's intentional because I don't want to take the freedom from my families to kind of homeschool, their child with their wants and needs. And so but I keep everything, pretty healthy, and safety requirements from the state. Still have a lot of paperwork and red tape, even in terms of like collecting donations and city permits and compliance. And so I go through all the things in terms of a small business owner, except that I necessarily want the flexibility to design this model around my vision, which is I believe my option is a socially motivated option for ages 3, hopefully to 18 eventually. But right now we're only up to age 14, where these scholars can take care of themselves, their community, and the world. So I want to build new cultural norms. I know my kids grow up in a generation where they're more peer influenced, and my classrooms were different because kids didn't really care about what their teacher thought of them anymore. They only cared about what their friends thought of them. And the world raising my kids, with social media and a lot of screens has really kind of made them really deficient on social skills, especially in-person social skills, and what friendship and community and relationships is about. So my option provides the kids with social emotional support in terms of self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness in terms of building a healthy self, building a healthy relationship with their tasks or jobs of learning, and my tasks and jobs of teaching, but also within their peers, of being with their peers, with other adults. Yes, adults, plural. I also wanted my model to be that village. So I have multiple adults in the room, and, I've got a learning center manager. I am the certified teacher, and I'm also a certified administrator. So I felt like last year was my first time being a principal. I've got a Montessori teacher. I've got high school student mentors. I've got volunteers and tutors. I do that on purpose. I don't necessarily want the kids to feel like it's not relevant. So sometimes in the classroom, when you got one teacher and like 20 kids, it's not relevant for them. They want more human connection. They want more adult in the room. And so even my enrichments, I bring in other enrichment businesses, music teacher, an art teacher. I'll bring in, I'm moving into this fall with other enrichment teachers. Now they're not parents. A lot of the times they're other influences and business owners on purpose, because my kids value their expertise. Now that we have YouTube and there is an influencer generation, they kind of pick and choose who they want to listen to and who they'll take advice from as their influencer, and they want an expert. Some things they take better when it comes from a teen. Sometimes they'll want me as their teacher, but they also know I'm, my son's mother. But having them see me mother my kids while teaching them actually helps them figure out their relationships with their own mother. And so again, I prefer this like village around, but that also means as a business owner, I have employees. And again, there's red tape and paperwork and payroll and taxes, and I need a team. I need a banker. I need an accountant. I need a payroll team to work on those things. And I've only worked on it in less than a year. So my microschool story is this. It is literally the best job I've ever had, where I don't have to choose between my family and my passion, which is education. I actually get to do it with my kids, which is life-giving. But you see me in workout gear because I had just signed up for a 4:45 workout class, because Also, I'm realizing I need sustainability in taking care of myself and being physically healthy, emotionally healthy, spiritually healthy, and mentally healthy. And so to sustain this work, because we do plan to grow and be around for a while, I have to take care of myself. But I'm starting to do these videos because I think one of the things that I have always loved, I need time for myself because I'm very introverted. I need to make sure that my body is physically ready to handle stress and hard work. And then I need to be able to sustain this option for my kids and the other families that I serve. But also, it's just that I need to be able to have a voice in this space. Microschooling is not for the faint of heart. Um, there are a lot of twists and turns in this journey, and you don't realize the red tape involved with it until you're going through it. And it can be kind of defeating. But there's a lot of also new beginnings. And so I made sure that I had some systems in place because we're starting our first summer camps. Literally, today is day one for something that I had planned and never executed before. I have high school volunteers working with me. I've got a really bang up math specialist. And so I know it's designed right, but it's just like a first day of school. You never know how it's going to go, but we're really excited about it. My kids are already up and ready. And for that, I'll go ahead and let you go. But microschooling is just a small school option. It can be run by an educator or a parent. But for me, I'm both. For me, you can choose to be homeschool, tutoring, enrichment, or you can choose to be a private school. For me, I'm very much a homeschool tutoring enrichment. I'm only 4 days a week. Half-time support for a preschooler because I still feel like they should be home. Half-time support for a kindergartner because I still feel like there's room for them to be home. The most full-time support is when they're first through fifth grade, just because that's when they're really molding themselves the most and getting those foundational skills and then applying it in mastery methods. But middle school, again, once we train them up to be independent, to be socially motivated, to be curious and kind of, able to sustain a learning routine. In middle school, it can be half-day support, but not at home, but out in the community. Because by middle school, in my homeschool community, they can take so many different workshops and trades and skills that I want them to have the opportunity to obtain or have access to. And then in high school, my dream is that it would be more of a half-day support. And by then we would be accredited. But then they would also be able to have more work study experience. So then when we send them out, by the time that they're 18, that there is no gap on what they can do. It's that they're ready to do whatever the world needs them to do and be that world changer that we all know that this younger generation with more access and more training and better relationships can be more equipped to handle the work that the 21st century world needs them to be and to handle. All right, but that's my vision and dream. Follow me if you want to learn more.